Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant here. Today, kicking back with me, I've got Trey Ogden. He is facing Radzhabov. That's a tricky name, but he is facing that in the card that Amanda Lemos is facing Virna Jandiroba. That, of course, is UFC Vegas 94. So, hey, it's great to meet you. Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you as well. Good.
Yeah, it's funny. It's one of those things where, obviously we've been around each other a lot. You've trained a lot. You've fighters. You've fought a lot yourself, but I actually have never gotten to speak to you. So, how fired up are you about this matchup? I know you're excited probably to put two wins in a row together here.
Yeah, I have to say 3 wins because even though my no contest was what it was, I definitely won that fight. So I think being able to put three in a row together in the UFC would be huge. I'm looking forward to the opportunity, and I'm just grateful to be a part of all this. And any opportunity I get, I'm fired up for.
So obviously we got to talk about that because you had that no contest with Mata. You were winning the fight. You're in the mount, basically, right? And
I was
Beltran waved it off, but
in the
you
orange.
won. So it was must have been very frustrating for you that no contest fight. Just kind of what is that story from your perspective? Because you seem to be winning. It looked like the submission was good to go, or you were gonna finish the fight, and then it ends up being a no contest.
Yeah, it was frustrating because when you win a fight, there's like this feeling that comes with it, like getting your hand raised in the octagon and the pictures after the fight and just the whole thing. And then like I didn't get that. And so I fought a great fight. I had a great performance. I think it was one of my better fights. I put my heart and soul into that fight, and then I didn't get the reward of the fight. Um, and then the other bummer for me was I understood immediately that the whole like fight itself was about to be erased in everybody's mind, and it was going to be replaced with a narrative of this whole no contest thing. So a little frustrating for me on that regard, but the fight itself was a beautiful experience for me and a beautiful fight, and the fight week was a beautiful fight week, and the weight cut was very spiritual for me. Everything that fight week was just really ideal for me, for my warrior spirit. And so I had to stop thinking about that because I realized pretty quickly that my memory of the fight was being replaced with the narrative itself and the frustration. And I didn't feel sad or happy. I just felt like empty. And I had to stop that. I had to catch that about a week and a half after the fight and just realize that that was causing my memory of the experience of the week and the fight itself to leave me. And there's beautiful information in those weeks and in the weight cuts and in the fight themselves. And I didn't want that to happen. And so I just made peace with it. I knew I would never be able to really accept it if I kept it with me. So I just let go of it and focused on the fight and what I learned in that experience. But even now it's frustrating because if I beat Loic, then everybody's like two in a row, but really it's three in a row. But it is what it is, and my whole journey has been filled with adversity and triumph. So it's just another chapter.
Well, that's a great perspective, and I will say, at least for you, for your own sense of whatever, on the broadcast, that will come up, right? So
Right.
everybody will be speaking about the fact of what happened, and I guarantee you, the guys will say you were winning the fight, But I understand what you're saying, and I do have to ask though, is the fact that you spend so much time coaching as well. Did that help you kind of gather that perspective and be able to maybe get over it sooner than some other people would?
I think I don't think so in the weeks following the fight. I do think that coaching has taught me so much about my own process by really watching other people's processes and
Hmm.
really understanding other people's processes. But I also think what makes me a good coach is that I've been very in tune with myself and my own process. And
Yeah.
so I have a sense of empathy for my fighters. Like I feel them and I feel them in the fight and I know what they're feeling in the fight. And so I can coach on a technical, tactical level, on a mental level, but also on an emotional level. But where I do think it helped me is that because I lost my head coach, everyone knows that
Hmm. Yep.
I lost my head coach. So now I take my fighters out with me to corner me.
Hmm.
And so I had three of my guys with me in my corner, and they're backstage with me when this happened. So I think where it helped me was in the immediate moments afterwards. I knew I had to regain my composure and set a good example, because adversity visits all of us, and it's how we respond to it. And that's a big part of the culture of my team and my gym in general. Just for the members that don't compete, that's one of the lessons I want to instill in them in life, is that the backdrop of life is filled with adversity, and that is the drama of life. Life is a drama. It's not a fairy tale. And what you can do is gear yourself to be able to handle the drama of life and the adversity of life, and almost I don't want to say look forward to it, but look forward to experiencing yourself overcoming it, and knowing that that is your spiritual journey in life, is how did you face your adversity, and how did you treat the people around you. And so that's bigger to me than any like thing else or narrative. So um I have to lead by example. In general, just leading my gym holds me accountable all the time, because all the things I tell everyone else, I feel like a fraud if I don't act it out. And my own voices in my own head, like all the time, from all these little mantras that I've given these guys, they're all watching, and
Yeah.
I have to set the standard and hold the example.
Well, you're doing a great job because first and foremost, Miles John's coming off that great big win, and he's doing really well, and has really credited you with helping him, get back on track and get things going. So he's doing great. So what you're doing is certainly working. You've said a couple times throughout this interview already, mentioning spirituality, and I am curious about your how you see that, the union of the spirituality and the the process of martial arts, and what we're doing here is it's not a peaceful pursuit, but there is peace in the art of it. So I'm just curious kind of what your overall philosophy is on what you do.
Yeah, well, like, um, see, one thing I realized in yoga was that everybody went there and they could reach the state of peace in this tranquil environment with incense and stretching and breathing and low lights and the perfect music,
Yeah.
and then as soon as something were to disrupt that, their peace leaves. So do you really have the peace if you don't have it in the chaos? And so, you know, but I think that in life there are many great tests of spirit, and I do think that fighting combat is one of the greatest tests of spirit. And so I do view, not only is the event a test of spirit, or the weight cut a test of spirit, but the longevity in the journey itself, because it can take you a long time to get in the UFC. And then when you get in the UFC, it's not like it's always a roller coaster straight up to the top. It can be filled with, again, adversity. And I think that the whole point of any real practice in life, is to refine your beingness, refine yourself outside of the practice itself. And so for me, martial arts is not only just like an activity, but it's a practice, a daily practice, in which I can use that as a mirror or as a measure for my connectedness with myself. And then also all these experiences get me deeper into myself. So I've heard guys say like fighting's such a crazy out of body experience, and I know what they're saying, but to me, the way I experience this is that fighting is a crazy deep in body experience. And it's like, for me to get the closest to my technique, my art, I must do that under the fire of combat, of the live fight itself. That's how we get out of the theory of yourself and into the truth. And fighting to me is truth, and all practices should lead you to the ultimate truth of yourself.
I love that. It's a really interesting approach, and I agree with that. I feel like that's, yeah. I like that analogy about the yoga and the peace. All right, Trey. Okay. I
So
see you.
that's why I'm the Shamurai.
Hi, that's what I was
This
gonna
is I
say.
am the
The
Shamurai.
Samurai, yeah.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. That is your nickname, and it's great. So how much do you how much of that do you give in the gym? Like you mentioned that the your students have mantras and stuff like that. Is it when people walk into Marathon MMA? Is that what they get on a daily basis? Is kind of some philosophy along with their teaching?
Certainly, if you don't get it the first day you're there, it'll be there at some point. But
Yeah.
like everybody, I try to connect to all of my students on a different level, because some of my students need to be connected with on an emotional level or on a spiritual or philosophical level. And some of them need to be met on more of a community level. Like they need they just need community. They don't necessarily, they're not looking for anything like deeper than
Right.
that. That's deep enough, which is very important as well.
Heck yeah.
You know, some people need encouragement through an example of discipline so that they can live a healthier life or whatever that is. So I don't want to say that I'm just running around preaching to everybody, you know, but I'm certainly in there preaching a little bit, but
Nice.
just as I see fit, because everybody's unique and every exchange energetically is unique. But it's nothing that we try to force, but it's definitely in there. As a whole, we have many philosophies like the overcoming adversity. I have this whole like analogy of the desert, and that we're desert children, and desert is our analogy for adversity, and that, you know, we're desert children. We can walk through the desert. We have all kinds of little fun mantras regarding
Yeah.
this. I try to make most of them into t-shirts, and we have fun with it. I have a cactus on the front desk, and like
Nice.
anyone that's going through some serious adversity, they can bow to the cactus before they leave and pay homage, and just understand that everybody's going through this, and you only die in the desert if you sit down, you know, if you stop. So we're going to walk through the desert and we're going to get to the garden. But to go through any place in life, to elevate to any other place of life of meaning, you have to go from comfort to desert back to garden. And it always has to go this way. You have to step a perfect example. Like a lot of my students that don't compete get like job promotions like 6 months after joining
Yeah.
marathon, just because their whole like way they view things start to change. And like, so
Right.
things like, you know, the desert philosophy, like let's say I have somebody in a career job and really they want to start a business, but the career pays them just enough to be comfortable. And to start that business, you're going to gain freedom at the end, right? You're going to get to your garden at the end, but you have to leave your comfortable place right now, take a big risk, and walk through nothing but adversity for maybe years. Um, and that's not going to be comfortable or easy, but it's worth it. And like that, I guess, is the overall message at marathon, as a culture, is that we're building a winning culture. Winning's a mindset, winning's a practice. Winning in life is a practice, being happy for each other's wins, and expecting that this is going to be rocky no matter what it is, but you can do it. We're rock climbers, I guess.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I think too many people give up too quickly on things now anyway. You know, we a lot of people think things are easy and aren't willing to put the time in. So I love that you're teaching them that it takes time and effort, but it is worth it. So if at the end of the day, in your own fight, if we're trying to get 3 in a row together, if you're trying to implement everything that you've been working on yourself and you want to show your students what kind of performance, what kind of fight would you like to have against Radzhabov?
Well, I have my ideas. I feel like there's 3 different fights we could find ourselves in depending on how he interacts with my style. And so I never quite know exactly how the guy's going to interact with me and what road that's going to take us down. But overall, is I'm very focused on getting a finish here. I'm not a decision winner. I'm not trying to be a decision winner. I've seen the 3rd round in all 5 of my UFC fights. I really would like to be finishing these guys. I essentially finished Moda. I tried really hard to finish Kurt Holloway. He's a tough character.
Yeah.
I dominated him, but I didn't finish him, and that annoyed me. My wife's talking some crap about it, so we got to get a finish here. So that's, you know, I won't be happy with the decision win here. You know, I'll be blessed and grateful to come out of it healthy any way it goes. Should I get to come out of it healthy, but I'm also willing to sacrifice my body for a finish. Like I'm here to take these guys out, and I think ultimately that's what's going to progress my career forward the most.
Cool. Cool. Well, I'm excited to see it. I'll be working that fight, so I'll be heading back out to Vegas. Thank you for taking the time today, and congratulations on the success you have in your own fighting and also with your fighters.
Thank you.
At Marathon. And yeah, it was really interesting getting to hear your perspective. I applaud you, Trey. That's some good stuff. So keep up the great work, and yeah, we'll see you in the octagon.
Thanks for having me on.